Think about this for a second. At its absolute peak, one empire controlled a fifth of all the land on Earth. It connected east and west in a way nobody thought possible and completely redrew the world map, pretty much in a single lifetime. And it was all built by one guy. So how did Genghis Khan, one of history's most feared and effective conquerors, build this absolutely unstoppable force? Well, that's what we're going to break down.
First, let's just try to get our heads around the sheer scale we're talking about. 24 million square kilometers. That was the Mongol Empire. To give you some perspective, that's bigger than the United States, Canada, and Mexico all put together. It was, and it still is, the largest single land empire in all of human history. The size alone is just staggering.
And this is where the story gets really wild. Because the man who built all of this, he wasn't born a prince or an emperor with a huge army. He started life as Temujin, just a boy whose father was murdered, his family cast out, and outcasts left for dead on the unforgiving Mongolian steppe. So how on earth do you go from that to, well, this?
See, to understand the conqueror, you first have to understand the survivor. His early life wasn't just tough. It was a brutal, non-stop lesson in betrayal, in strategy, and in the raw will to live. And those lessons would define everything he did later. You have to picture the Mongolian steppe in the 12th century. It was just chaos, a messy landscape of tribes that were constantly at war. The guy who was your best friend one day could literally be the one trying to kill you the next. Loyalty was a currency that lost its value fast, and just waking up alive was a win. This world forged his entire outlook. Trust is something you earn. Loyalty is everything, and the only path forward is to win.
So you'd think his first big move was some epic battle, right? Nope. His first truly revolutionary act wasn't on a battlefield at all. It was a complete reinvention of his entire society. Before he could even think about conquering the world, he had to conquer the chaos of his own people. He looked at the old system he grew up in, the one based on who your dad was and which tribe you swore allegiance to this week, and he saw the weakness, the exact same weakness that almost got him killed as a kid. So what did he do? He smashed it. He built a totally new order based on two radical ideas: meritocracy, the best person gets the job, and absolute, unbreakable loyalty, not to your tribe, but directly to him.
So how'd he pull it off? Okay, first he systematically broke up the old tribes. He literally mixed people from rival clans into brand new military units. Just like that, old loyalties were gone. Then he promoted his commanders based on pure skill and loyalty, not their family name. A common shepherd could become a top general if he was good enough. And finally, he tied it all together with his single, unified law code for everyone, called the Yasa. This wasn't just rearranging the furniture. This was creating a nation specifically designed for conquest. This became the bedrock of his power.
All right, so now he has this unified, loyal nation at his back. The next step? He forged it into what might be the most effective, most terrifying military machine the world had ever seen. And here's the breakdown of how.
The Mongol military was a perfect storm of advantages. Their horsemanship was, well, it was legendary. A Mongol warrior could eat, sleep, and fight from the saddle. Their main weapon, the composite bow, was a piece of high-tech engineering for its day. It could outrange and outpower almost anything else on the battlefield. But you know what their real secret weapon was? Absolute ironclad discipline and coordination. On top of that, they were master adapters, quickly learning how to smash cities from the people they conquered and using complex spy networks to know an enemy's weaknesses before the fighting even started.
But it wasn't just about better gear. It was about brilliant tactics. And their most famous move was a masterpiece of psychology on the battlefield: the feigned retreat. This wasn't just running away. No. This was a trap, designed to use an enemy's own pride and overconfidence as a weapon against them.
So picture this. Mongol light cavalry ride up, they harass the enemy, shoot some arrows, and then suddenly, they break and run, looking like they're in a total panic. An arrogant general on the other side sees this and thinks, aha, they're beaten. He orders his men to break formation and chase them down. But that's exactly what the Mongols wanted. Once the enemy army is all stretched out, disorganized, and vulnerable, wham! Hidden reserves of heavy cavalry slam it to their sides, turning an easy victory into an absolute slaughter. Genius.
But maybe, just maybe, the Mongols' most powerful weapon wasn't their horses or their bows. It was fear. They were masters of psychological warfare. They understood that a battle you win inside your enemy's head is a battle you don't even have to fight.
Now, this famous quote that's often tied to Genghis Khan, it's more than just a boast. You have to see it for what it is. It's a mission statement. It's a carefully crafted piece of propaganda designed to send a terrifying message to anyone who might think of standing in his way.
And the choice they gave to the cities in their path was brutally, terrifyingly simple. Submit or be wiped off the face of the earth. If you opened your gates, you'd pay tribute and become part of the empire. Your skilled workers would be spared. But if you fought back, the city would be sacked and the population massacred. This wasn't random violence. It was a calculated policy, and it worked like a charm.
By making such horrifying examples of the cities that did resist, they made sure that stories of their brutality traveled way faster than their armies ever could. Their reputation became their advance force, a wave of pure terror that shattered the will of their enemies long before a single Mongol soldier ever appeared on the horizon.
So what happens when the storm passes? It's really easy to just focus on all the destruction. But what the Mongols actually built after their conquests was, in a lot of ways, an empire of incredible innovation that left a blueprint for the future.
I mean, just look at the timeline. The speed is mind-blowing. In 1206, they're just a bunch of newly united tribes. By the time Genghis Khan dies, only 21 years later, his empire already stretches from the Caspian Sea to the Pacific Ocean. A few decades after that, his grandkids have pushed into Europe and conquered all of China. The entire known world was redrawn in less than a single lifetime.
And inside this massive new empire, they built systems that literally changed the world. They created the YAM, this revolutionary relay system, kind of like the Pony Express on steroids. That was the fastest communication network on the planet. By making the Silk Road safe, they kicked off a century of relative peace called the Pax Mongolica, the Mongol Peace. This allowed trade, ideas, and technology, like gunpowder, to flow between East and West like never before. They even set up early versions of diplomatic immunity. It was this crazy, unprecedented era of global connection, all built on the back of conquest.
Which of course brings us to the big, complicated question at the end of it all. Was Genghis Khan a brutal destroyer responsible for unimaginable death? Or was he a visionary architect who shattered a fractured world to build a new, more connected one? The real answer is he was both. And that incredibly complex legacy of terror and of trade, of destruction and of connection, is something that, believe it or not, still shapes the world we live in today.